In right now, Union Law Minister Kiren Rijiju has written exclusively for CNN News18, where he rebuts Congress's claim on Kashmir and Jawaharlal Nehru's blunders, especially rebutting Karan Singh, who is not only a Congress leader but also a descendant of Maharaja Hari Singh. Kiren Rijiju's follow-up article on our website is a second in series of the centre rebutting the Congress's claims on Kashmir and who is to blame for 7 decades of violence and strife in the valley. Now, Rijiju writes, and I quote, "The response to my article by Dr Karan Singh is deeply disappointing. He completely skipped the other 4 blunders of Nehru." Now I'm crossing over to CNN News18's Anjali Pandey, who was joining us live from the newsroom, and she's going to be getting us more details about Rijiju's response. Anjali, over to you.
So, Union Law Minister Kiren Rijiju had written an article for News18.com on October 27th, in which he had mentioned the 5 blunders committed by Jawaharlal Nehru on the Kashmir issue. Now, on the article, there were various responses from several political leaders, including one from senior Congress leader Dr Karan Singh, who is also a descendant of Maharaja Hari Singh. Now, Kiren Rijiju has again written an article for News18.com in which he has slammed the response by Dr. Karan Singh on his previous article. I'll just read out the article for our viewers. A recent article that I wrote on Jawaharlal Nehru's Panch, Bhool or 5 blunders on Kashmir has invited varied reactions. Among other things, I wrote that Maharaja Hari Singh's government wanted to accede to India even before August 15, 1947, but it was Nehru who refused. This assertion was based on a version of events narrated by Nehru and no one else. It is in this context that the response to my article by Dr. Karan Singh is deeply disappointing. He completely skipped the other 4 blunders of Nehru, suo motu, insisting that the accession was provisional, moving the UN under the wrong article after Pakistan's invasion, thereby making it a party to the dispute instead of an aggressor, letting the myth of a UN-mandated plebiscite perpetuate and creation of the divisive Article 370. So viewers, as you can see in this article, which is available on News18.com, Kiren Rijiju has expressed his disappointment on senior Congress leader and a descendant of Maharaja Hari Singh, Dr. Karan Singh's response to his previous article, which mentioned the 5 blunders that were committed by Jawaharlal Nehru on the Kashmir issue, which led to the delayed accession of Kashmir to India. Back to you, Aisha.
All right, Anjali, thank you so much for that explainer. I also want to cross over to CNN News18's Ananya Bhatnagar and Arunima. First, I will be crossing over to Ananya. Ananya, so essentially now we have Kiren Rijiju's response to Dr. Karan Singh. Can you tell us, to provide some holistic perspective on this entire thing, can you give us some more perspective on what Dr. Karan Singh had said?
Well, the article that is coming from Kiren Rijiju has come in as a response to what Mr. Karan Singh has said. In fact, remember that Mr. Rijiju had first written this article in October, wherein he had mentioned about the 5, mistakes that he feels that Jawaharlal Nehru did while dealing with the matter of Kashmir. And remember, then Mr. Karan Singh, who is also the descendant of Raja Hari Singh, who was at that point of time, he was the ruler of Kashmir at that point of time, and then the accession and other things came into this particular the matter, and then so what is being said by Mr. Kiren Rijiju in the fresh article, the fresh response that has come in, is that the response of Mr. Karan Singh is very, very disappointing, first of all. Secondly, he goes on to cite various speeches of Jawaharlal Nehru at the time of independence, and in fact, a letter that Mr. Nehru had written to the then Prime Minister of Kashmir, in fact, wherein he had said that the Kashmir issue should be dealt with very seriously, and the accession should not be an option at this point of time, and that's the reason. And various other incidents have also been given out by Mr. Rijiju in order.
All right, we seem to have lost that connection. So for right now, I'm going to be crossing over to CNN News 18's Arunima. Arunima, essentially, how are we supposed to see this response now by Kiren Rijiju to Dr. Karan Singh? Do you think it's a befitting reply to the Congress? All right, we seem to have lost that connection as well. I'll just once more go over the fact that Union Law Minister Kiren Rijiju has written exclusively for CNN News 18, and in this he has rebutted the Congress's claim on Kashmir as well as Jawaharlal Nehru's blunders. Now, I'm crossing back over to CNN News 18's Ananya. Ananya, so I will pose the question to you that I wanted to pose to Arnima. Essentially, do you think this is a befitting response to the Congress?
Well, definitely. It's not only a befitting response to the Congress party, but also, in fact, to Mr. Karan Singh when it comes to the article that had been written by Mr. Rijiju earlier. And remember that this time, at this point of time, Mr. Rijiju has also cited various letters and, in fact, a lot of speeches of Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru to, in fact, say what he wanted to say earlier, and he was dubbed by Mr. Karan Singh and others. But particularly, we might have to wait and watch for the reactions that come in on this particular article, and how would the Congress party and the others would actually say, and what would they have to say on this particular issue. Aisha.
All right, Ananya, do stay with us because I also want to cross back over to CNN News 18's Arnima to get us more. Arnima, over to you.
This is the second attack. Today is the birth anniversary of the first Prime Minister of India, and on that occasion, this is the second attack that is taken from the Law Minister. And he's accusing the Congress party once again of not making a scholarly debate out of what he's alleging. He's saying that these are Nehruvian blunders for which we are paying even today. And the Congress party, the media department led by Jairam Ramesh, he says, is only indulging in name-calling, is only abusing people who are pointing out to these blunders and not indulging in a scholarly debate. Now, what is the blunder that Mr. Rijiju is accusing Pandit Nehru of? He's saying that he mishandled the entire Kashmir situation, allowing Pakistan to continue to fester the Kashmir problem at the international level. He says we moved the United Nations under the wrong article, thereby labeling Pakistan as a party to the dispute instead of calling them out as an aggressor. He's also saying that Nehru had a special affinity for reasons best known to him. This is what Mr. Kiren Rijiju alleges, that Pandit Nehru had a strong affinity for Sheikh Abdullah, and therefore he did not have an India-first approach. Instead of asking Maharaja Hari Singh to accede to India first and then talk about how Sheikh Abdullah should be allowed to form a government, he made it the other way around. He first insisted that Sheikh Abdullah, who had been jailed by Maharaja Hari Singh ahead of accession, be released, and then the instrument of accession be signed. So there are multiple such examples which he had cited and come to the conclusion that it showed that for Pandit Nehru it was not an India-first approach, not a Kashmir-first approach, but rather he had his own ideas which he was pushing forth.
All right. Thank you, Arnima, for giving us all of that information. I'm also going to cross back over to CNN News 18's Ananya to get us more details. Ananya, this is very interesting because this is essentially a war of words. Do you think this is likely to erupt into a legal battle as well?
Well, we're not sure about a legal battle, but definitely it is a war of words, and the political slugfest on this story can definitely take over because, as Arunima was pointing it out, the Congress party has always said that it's only calling out names, and we'll have to wait and watch as to how the BJP and the other ministers and the other parties respond to what Mr. Rijiju has said in his response to Mr. Karan Singh. And I'm not sure about a legal battle taking place on this, but then definitely there can be a political slugfest. We can see a series of press conferences happening on this, and we might see that various leaders and opposition as well would be responding to what Mr. Kiren Rijiju has said in his letter, in his article that he has exclusively written for CNN News 18, and in fact citing various errors, including that the approach to, in fact, the UN in a wrong article, which actually led to the Pakistan being a party to it, in fact, not being an aggressor. So a lot of mistakes being pointed out. But what is the truth is actually based on the speeches and also the letters that were written by Nehru at that point of time. So we'll have to wait and watch as to how things pan out and how the politicization of this particular issue happen, or whether the other parties actually come and respond to what Mr. Rijiju has said in his response to Mr. Karan Singh.
Absolutely. And Anya, I do want you to stay with us because we are now being joined by BJP spokesperson Shehzad Poonawalla. Mr. Poonawalla, thank you so much for speaking to CNN News 18. We'd like your response to Kiren Rijiju now essentially hitting out at the Congress's Dr. Karan Singh for what he was saying about Nehru.
Somehow this was a bid to extricate Jawaharlal Nehruji's role in the entire crisis of Kashmir. And the response by Karan Singh ji can be only described as disappointing, and only a rebuttal that was made to one point, and that too not in entirety, because the remaining main aspects that have been emphasized by Kiren Rijiju's article on your platform, in fact, very, it describes the kind of blunders that were made. And these are historical facts. Now, the fact is that it was Mr. Nehru who referred the entire Kashmir issue to an international agency, to the United Nations. It was Mr. Nehru who deterred and did not allow for the accession to take place before independence. It was he who deterred even at the time when the invasion took place from Pakistan. It was he who also did not allow this entire Kashmir crisis to be solved for a very long period of time, and a special case was made only because he put his friendship with Sheikh Abdullah first. These are matters of facts and history that can't be denied. And therefore, Mr. Kiren Rijiju has put out the questions. These are based on historical facts, and rather than running away from the historical truths, we must have the courage to face them, and we must ask some difficult questions. Sardar Patel on one hand unites all the princely states which he had. One state is with Jammu Kashmir, is with Mr. Nehru, and that was a crisis till the time Article 370 was abrogated. And when Article 370 and 35 was abrogated, the Congress continued to oppose that too. So therefore the Congress party and parties like the Congress, the Parivarwadi parties, the parties that believe in Algawad, have always actually been responsible for the situation in Jammu Kashmir.
All right, Mr. Poonawala, I'd like you to stay on the line with us because we are now being joined by Congress's Sanket Yanagi. Mr. Yanagi, were you able to listen into what Mr. Poonawala was saying?
So, Mr. Kiren Rijiju's statement is politically motivated without any basis because of the upcoming elections in the state of Gujarat and such other states. Mr. Rijiju's statement is not in the capacity of the Union Minister of Law and Parliamentary Affairs, but I would call it as, or I would rather term it as, a statement made by a BJP politician. So no more importance to be given to the statement made by Mr. Kiren Rijiju. That is the first thing. He doesn't understand the basics of the history of Indian independence and post-independence, how the courts have survived and how the courts have established the law and order in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, and also how the government, during the leadership of Mr. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, united the entire state or entire the provisions in the state, and all other things have been. Unification has taken place during the regime of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel as a Home Minister, when Jawaharlal Nehru was the Prime Minister, and subsequent development also have helped India to retain Jammu and Kashmir as a stronghold. And till this day, if Jammu and Kashmir is with India, it is because of the contribution made by Congress, which Mr. Rijiju is not making any reference to. I would rather call the statement of Mr. Rijiju, the Union Minister, is purely politically motivated in order to meet some requirements for the purpose of upcoming elections in the state of Gujarat and such other states. No more importance to be given to it.
All right, Mr. Yanagi and Mr. Poonawala, thank you so much for speaking to CNN News 18. I do want to cross back over to CNN News 18's Anjali Pandey to take us once more through the key points of Rijiju's article.
Yeah, so Aisha, Union Law Minister Kiren Rijiju has expressed his disappointment over Dr. Karan Singh's response to his previous article on the 5 blunders that were committed by Jawaharlal Nehru on the Kashmir issue. And now Kiren Rijiju has written another article exclusively for News18.com and expressed his disappointment. Rijiju writes, obviously there were no answers or even a modicum of plausible defense, but on the first and primary blunder of Nehru delaying the accession itself, Dr. Karan Singh has presented a sanitized history, resorted to poor wordplay, and that too in a roundabout way to somehow extricate Nehru. However, this was not enough for the Congress. So, Rijiju has clearly expressed his disappointment and has also claimed that the response given by Dr. Karan Singh was a sanitized history, and it was a bid to, clean up the image of Nehru and to refute all the claims that were made by Rijiju that it was Nehru who was responsible for the delay in accession of Kashmir to India. And I would like to tell the viewers that our viewers can access this whole article on News18.com. Union Law Minister Kiren Rijiju has written this article exclusively for News18.com. You can access the whole article and read whatever Kiren Rijiju has said over Dr. Karan Singh's reply. Remember, Dr. Karan Singh is a senior Congress leader and also a descendant of Maharaja Hari Singh. And that is what makes his response very much relevant to Rijiju's previous article, which was on the Panch, Bhool or Five Blunders by Jawaharlal Nehru on Kashmir. Back to you, Aisha.
Absolutely, Anjali. Thank you so much for giving us that lowdown on this entire war of words. Now, essentially, the Congress has already responded saying that no importance should be paid to what our law minister has written. With this, we're heading into a very short break, but do stay with us.